All right, everybody says lose body fat, right? Body fat's bad for you. Got to get rid of it. But did you know that for some people, they need to gain body fat? In fact, there's benefits to gaining body fat for a lot of you fitness fanatics. There's a good percentage of you watching right now. We're going to talk about why some of you, this is exactly what you need to do. Get fatter.
Get fatter. You know, obviously we've talked not only on live callers, we all have experience with helping people with this. This has been confirmed by my experience many, many times over. But I'm actually not familiar with the research around it. And do we have studies to show that the person who's trying to gain body fat, gain muscle from a certain body fat percentage versus another, is there research to support what we're talking about?
Not specifically, but what they do find is the athletes or high performers in strength tend to carry more body fat than what social media will have you believe is a good body fat percentage. So like athletes who do really well and perform well, right? If you're an athlete, you're not on stage posing. You actually have to perform well. And athletes that do really well, generally male athletes, will fall around 15% body fat, which is 5% higher body fat percentage than the 10% that social media will have you believe is a healthy body fat percentage.
Yeah.
But I'll speak to some data though. Going too low will destroy your hormones. This is both true for men and for women. For men, when you start to go below 10, for most men, you go below 10%, you see depressions in testosterone. Testosterone starts to drop. In women, in particular women, when their body fat percentage starts to get in the teens, especially as it starts to get, let's say, below 18%, what you start to see are reductions in fertility, lost period, estrogen, progesterone levels start to get out of whack. And by the way, this is a common thing. If there's a woman listening or watching right now who used to be an athlete and compete and push herself, you know how common it is that you lose your period because you're just working too hard and getting too lean, and that's just because hormone dysfunction. So for many people, in particular fitness fanatics, in particular people who are so afraid of not being ripped, so afraid of not having definition, when I've worked with people like this, oftentimes the goal is to gain some body fat. And through that process, we get all these great results. But until we gain body fat, it's like impossible. It's like pushing a boulder uphill.
So I think that's obvious. When you talk about like extremely low, because when in unhealthy places, say male at 6 or lower tends to be unhealthy, and you could have hormonal stuff. Women under like 17, 18%, similar type of story. But I wonder if there's more of a correlation to just a person who, like, let's say the guy who because we've talked to someone just recently like this, the guy who's just hovers around 8% body fat and he's struggling to build muscle, but he's always hovering around that. Well, that also tells me another thing, that if he's always hovering around there, he's always around maintenance. Maybe he's lucky a slight surplus, but mostly in a deficit. And I wonder, Sal, if there's actually less of a correlation to the body fat percentage and more a correlation of just to what it does to just be in this caloric surplus for an extended period of time. And the reason why I say this is because coming from someone who's been as low as 3% body fat, some of my best gains came right after that. I didn't have to be all the way up 13, 15%, but what I was definitely on was a massive calorie surplus after that, right? So coming from a deficit of 6 to 8 weeks coming into a show, and then coming out of a show where I'm feeding the body consistently over my maintenance every day, man, I felt like I was growing and building. And so, do you think that maybe there's more there than just, it's there, because there's this, it's a body fat percentage thing? Because you're right. Obviously, when it's so low, you're going to have hormonal. But if you're in that kind of, like, say 8%, which some people can carry themselves there and be hormonally okay, do you think maybe it might have more to do with the added 12, 13, 14, 15% body fat from the guy who's used to being at 8%, has more to do with all the extra calories he has to consume?
Oh, of course it does. Body fat percentage is just the thing that we can measure.
Okay.
But by the way, it's actually quite relatively rare for a guy who just always is at 8% to have ideal hormones. And what you'll see when they go up to 10 or 11%, all things being equal, is their testosterone levels go up. Generally speaking, there's always those genetic anomalies. I know people will point out pro athletes that eat Skittles and all day long, and like those are just freaks of nature.
Those are the only ones I saw that did well. It was the genetic anomalies. Honestly, like the guys that were like low body fat just would gas out real fast, and you'd see like power differences completely too. And I just I think it's one thing to like, I think the perspective of that look and that physique is very misleading for a lot of people when you're talking about performance, obviously. But that's the general consensus from like your average person is like, well, this person's like ripped. Look at fights. Like when I bet on fights, I'm not betting on the super shredded guy. I know. Typically, they get destroyed.
You have to have a little bit. No, that's not a bad point. And to be quite honest, the people that I've almost always had to coach this to were women. Almost always. There's been a couple guys out there, but it was the women who, strength trained, did everything right, but their calories are always so low. They're always walking around 15%, 14% body fat. I've had a couple cases, in fact, of women. One of them worked for me years ago, and she got a bone density test, and it came back, and she strength trained all the time. And it came back, she was borderline osteopenia. Yeah. And she was like 30, she must have been 32. And she was so flabbergasted. Like, how can I've been lifting weights for years, and it was like, you got to eat more, and you can't walk around at 15% body fat. You got to bump your calories.
Train it.
Right. And then again, if you look at like the data, like if you look at people who are underweight versus people who are a little bit overweight actually has worse mortality outcomes than someone who's a little bit overweight. Yeah. Okay. And being overweight but strong is actually better than being a little underweight and weak. Far better. Yeah. From a mortality and health perspective. Here's some other benefits that you'll notice by this. If this is you and you're listening to this right now, you're scared, or you want to skip this. You're like, I'm not going to do that. But hear me out. Here's what you'll find. You'll find not just you'll build more muscle. Yes, you'll gain body fat and you'll build strength and muscle. You'll also notice things like your joints don't hurt. Like suddenly your joints feel better.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's actually bonus. The first thing that the people that I worked with noticed is that their joints just started feeling a lot better.
Hair and libido too. Hair and libido were also a big
hair,
one.
nails, and skin. Yeah. Massive difference in those things.
And libido. I know a lot of people that like both men and women when they run low calorie like that or low body fat percentage for an extended period of time, it crushes that libido.
By the way, I want to be clear with that too, because it's not just the hormone depression that causes the low libido, because that for sure will. But you talk to a male bodybuilder on anabolic steroids, they got high testosterone.
That's right.
And their pre-contest, no libido.
No.
Yeah.
So they got all the testosterone in the world, no libido. Yeah. Right. Their body fat percentage is too low.
Katrina always hated the last 2 weeks of the show. I know, I'm serious. She just knew like the last 2 weeks.
Adam's turning into a monk.
And which is crazy when you think about that, to your point, is because I'm taking exogenous testosterone.
So if you have low testosterone.
So if you were to go test my levels, it's like I've got higher than normal average in me, but yet my libido was crushed during that time. So really normal.
It's a protective mechanism. You need body fat on your body, and it's not just the extreme lows. I'm telling you, like if you're a dude and you like always walk around 9-10%, and you want to make more progress in the gym, and you eat clean, you probably already do, right? You're 9-10%. So it's like, I don't need to tell you don't eat junk food. Track your body fat percentage while continuing to eat healthy, and start eating more until you see your body fat go up to 11 and 12%. And tell me you don't see crazy strength gains in the gym.
Right. I know. It's one of those things you're not going to know until you actually go through that process and feel it.
That's right. And then, back to what you were saying, Adam, about, when you come out of a show and you get some of the best gains of your life.
Yeah.
This has been documented. We know this. Endurance athletes were the first ones to really take advantage of this. Bodybuilders do it to look a particular way on stage. But we know when you deplete and then you bodybuilders call refilling.
Yeah.
Endurance athletes know this. Your body will store more energy after a rebound. In other words, if you're an endurance athlete, you deplete your carbs, then you eat more carbs than you did before. You'll actually go into your race with more energy stored than you would have had you never depleted and then refilled. Because your body has kind of like this rebound effect. I believe, I don't know any studies that show this, but you talk to anybody who's ever experienced this.
Yeah, it's a total strategy.
There's a muscle building rebound effect as well. I experienced the same thing, Adam. And I did it naturally. I did it when I got really lean for the original MAPS Anabolic. I did a photo shoot with Doug. I got my body fat down like 4%. And after that, I just fed my body and I just built. Like, it was like 2 months of just, especially that first 4 weeks. It's like, I just built muscle. MAPS Starter, MAPS Transform, MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, all 50% off right now. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com. Use the code NEWYEAR50 for the discount. By the way, that code works on all of them. Get all 4. It's a good time.
All right, real quick, if you love us like we love you, why not show it by rocking one of our shirts, hats, mugs, or training gear over at mypumpstore.com. I'm talking right now. Hit pause, head on over to mypumpstore.com. That's it. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Do you feel like too that there's something to do with like the receptors, like your androgen receptors have been like kind of ringed out or something like that?
It's like a sponge that's dry.
And then it's just then all of a sudden you feed and it's just like they've been waiting and starting for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Sleep is another one that you'll notice. In fact, as you get leaner, and I've experienced this also, for me it's right around 7%. For other people it'll be a little higher or maybe lower for some genetic anomalies, but when I get down below 8-7%, I don't care how great I'm doing everything. My sleep starts to suffer.
Yeah.
I just don't get as good of a sleep. We talked about joint pain, skin, hair, nails, mood changes big time.
Yeah,
you guys, you just feel much better and healthier. And it's only relatively recently that we attributed being shredded to healthy. This was almost never the case in human history, especially not women. When women chase a six-pack, some guys can get a six-pack and remain pretty healthy and keep their hormones somewhat okay. I'm talking about natural men. You know, you could do it if you do everything right, all stuff. Women who chase a six-pack, you're pretty much guaranteed to screw up your hormones. Like, it's going to happen. In fact, I just saw somebody post in our forum. It was a woman. She posted a selfie. She's like, I know it's unhealthy. I know it's this, but I want to see a six-pack. And it's like, well, I mean, she knows it's gonna mess things up. But chasing that is not a good idea. Now, to the average person, you probably don't need to hear gain body fat because you're probably dealing with too much of it. But there's a lot of fitness fanatics where when I would coach them, I would tell them, you know what our goal is? I got to get your body fat up.
Yeah, I
got to get your body fat percentage up. Otherwise, this just isn't going to work.
Yeah, very much is something that becomes an obsession. It's that that one thing that you think is going to give you the ultimate version of you to display, right? So
you know what's funny?
It's tough to say add more.
And you know what's funny about this? When they do surveys, broad surveys on men and women, and ask them, what is the ideal physique for the opposite sex?
It's so funny you went that way because what was going through my head is just like, it's so funny how both men try to achieve this look that women don't even think are very attractive, and women do the same thing that want the abs. Like I've never met a guy who's just like, oh yeah, I like my chick to have like six-pack abs, blocky abs. Like, no dude's ever said that.
One guy's ever said that,
and it's rare that you hear that from you. Might hear some girls that like that really jacked look like you, but it's pretty rare that they like that.
I think if you stay in our fitness fanatic space, then you'll get a little distorted, opinions.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But when they do like these big surveys, what do they find? Women like men who are fit around 13 to 15%.
Yeah, 12 to 15, I think is the number.
Now, fit and healthy.
Now, here's why. Our preferences are wired for fertility and health and longevity.
And that's what it signals.
Yes. So it's like the strong, able-bodied, fertile man. That's the look I'm looking for. And it's not 9%. It's not a 9% body fat percentage. Men typically like a woman around 22%, fit, healthy, as high as 25, 26%.
Yeah.
In many cases, not the, 17, 16%. Now, if you ask men, like you said, what they would want, and women what they think they want, it's this really strange, distorted look or whatever. But I'm trying to encourage people, listening right now, you know who you are as you're listening to this. Like, you might want to try going through a season, a 60-day season of, being healthy, exercise, and then your goal is like, I'm gonna get my body fat percentage up. And then let me track all the other stuff that happens and see what this feels like. You'll be blown away, and it may just change your relationship with fitness.
Paradigm might just shift.
That's
completely.
right. In a direction that'll be really, really beneficial.
Have you, since we're on the subject of body fat percentage, have you DEXA scanned lately?
I've never done a DEXA scan.
Oh, you haven't?
No, never.
Oh, I don't think I
Really?
have either.
No.
Well, I know you don't.
Just
The body fat ones before.
I didn't even think you knew what it was. You know?
Oh, shut up, dude.
Are you saying this because of the conversation earlier about our combined body weight?
Yeah.
Adam's like really concerned about our general weight.
There's an off-air joke that for 10 years now, we've been able to maintain the same body fat percentage, the same weight, roughly.
They combined.
Combined.
So in other words, one guy gets smaller, someone else gets bigger.
Yeah,
it's always the same.
It shifts.
Yeah.
Kinda like works
yeah.
its way around.
And we have this kind of average going on.
Otherwise, it throws off the universe.
So
we need the balance.
So the off-air joke is I've been texting Sal. I was like, "Hey, bro, it's your turn to get small now. You need to lean out a little bit because I'm trying to get jacked right now. So it's gonna throw off our average. You know."
I was like trying to turn me into a marathon runner.
Yeah, I was like, otherwise, Justin needs to get anorexic because if he doesn't, if you don't get smaller and I keep getting bigger, it's gonna throw the universe off.
Justin has to be beefcake, dude. His head's too big. You look like a lollipop.
I'll be the weirdest looking skinny guy you've ever seen, dude.
He's a big. He has to fit, dude. Yeah. I'll do a DEXA with you. I've never done one before.
So I want to go do it right now because I always like doing it when I'm just on the front end.
Because right now you're trying to do what? Build.
Yeah,
it's so. Can I just say this right now? I'm just gonna say it on air that it's so funny to me how fast you build muscle. You just started. It looked like you gained 10 pounds. Honestly, literally, you look like you put on.
Think about his environment. The last few months, you've been going through, and now all of a sudden you're like shifting back into health.
Yeah, I just have been able to.
You do like 3 workouts.
So yeah, you gain muscle real fast.
I'm on like 3 weeks right now, so I'm on 3 weeks of like really good consistency, really good diet, and most importantly, better sleep. I wouldn't even say so. I scored my first 80. I got an 89, which was like one of the best scores I've ever had, and I got an 82. And in the last 45 days, those are the first times I've ever touched the 80s. 70s has been good for me. I've had some really rough ones, and I think the hardest part, or what's new, it's so funny I'm doing this for so long. Every time I do this, it presents different challenges. Yeah. So my challenge this time is like, I got to really be careful. I'm really dancing this line of like, we're all like this, right? We get in that rhythm and I want to go, you know what I'm saying? Right. So, and for me, I know that my sleep has never suffered so much and I'm not getting good sleep. And so I'm very mindful of like, really keeping the volume kind of low and the intensity moderate while I'm going. I also know too, when I first get back in, like today's my day in the life. So I was just sharing the story with, I'm back to taking the Quah pills.
The amino acids?
Yeah, the amino acids. And so.
Because probably one of the reasons why you're gaining so much, first of all, you have a lot of muscle memory, but you were eating, I would assume, under 140 grams of protein a day.
For sure.
Maybe even around 100.
I'm so like, and maybe I'm different than a lot of people, but when I'm not paying attention or really tracking, I'm always a meat eater.
Yeah.
Like I love.
You'll just eat 2 meals.
Yeah, but exactly. I'll eat 2 meals that are 50, maybe 60. Yeah. A big steak meal that's giant is 60 grams of protein. And so I easily, and then maybe I had like a bar or something the day. So you're talking about, 50 and another 20 grams in a day is like could be a very normal day. And I'm a 230 pound guy. Like, so that's way under my protein.
Have you been able to hit 200?
No, I'm not even close to 200 yet. So 150 to 200 would be like a perfect day. Yeah. And I've had a couple that are around there. But so right now, just the aminos, 3 times a day I take them. So that's what I do. When I did that,
that makes a big difference.
When I did that whole comeback series, and it was after that interview we did with Keon, and he really sold me on the science of, especially if you're somebody who's low, and I know that's me. And so what I'll do is I'll be taking it 3 times a day until I start getting really consistent with around 200. When I get around 200, I'll probably scale it back down to like once a day. I'll still take them. Yeah. And then once I start pushing 220, but I'm a ways away from like where you're at right now, where you don't miss 220.
What is it? Is it 5 or 6 of them a day?
It's 6 is what it calls for.
3 times a day.
Yeah, and I do it 3 times.
Yeah, of course that makes a big difference.
It helps while I know that I'm running low. Plus, I need all the help I can get recovery wise right now with my sleep not optimal.
It's hard to eat a lot of protein, and people don't understand.
Oh, yeah. I think I think people overestimate. Because you eat the meat, like, because again, I'm a meat eater. I can easily go eggs in the morning, a meat lunch, and a meat dinner, and so you in your head, and I got full, right? Yeah. I'm full for the day. So someone might go like, "Oh, that's a lot of protein." It's not.
For me to hit 220 every day,
you have to go after it.
And I have to have at least 1 50-gram shake a day. I tried doing it all food.
So hard.
Bro, it's like another job.
It is.
If you're over 200 pounds, it's kind of crazy.
I'm over it. Yeah. It's like, bro, that's a lot. So at the end of the night, I'm like, every night I have a shake to hit that number because otherwise it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to go eat another 40 grams of protein right now. I don't want to eat anymore.
And so people understand too.
It's hard.
So people understand too, because I know there's the other side of the spectrum of just longevity and health.
Sure.
But I mean, I'm in the game of like you made the comment on it, right? Like that you guys, part of why I rebound so fast is because I check the boxes and I do it in this. It's like, of course, I could get away with only hitting 150 and still get in shape and be healthy and do all those things. But I know if I'm hitting optimal protein, I have the perfect balance of intensity and volume. I focus on my sleep. If I do those things and I do it appropriately. To me, the real art of this is in what's taken me decades to get there is the real right balance of volume and intensity. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to be off or on. It's real easy to like, I'm not doing shit. I don't do anything. And then it's real easy to like, I'm motivated now. Headphones in, go get it. And I'm chasing that sore feeling where I've learned, and it's taken me a lot of years of the wrong way or overdoing it to like, knowing that sweet spot of like get in the gym, touch a few of the compound lifts that I need to, don't even have to like push it really hard. It's like, man, my body's coming off a crazy layoff and recovery. I don't need much. And then just keep, and then just a little, every time I come back to that exercise, so a little bit more,
I'm doing, what I'm starting to do with myself is 1 week out of the month, maybe is when I push it with the volume a little bit. And I don't mean a lot. Like I'll push it a little bit with the volume. 3 weeks out of the month, I kind of cruise. And you know what the result of that is? Better results. Mm-hmm. Just way better results. Yeah. So, and I'm literally like having to track it because my tendency, like a lot of people who love working out, is to make it, every week push it a little bit because I love it. I'd rather spend time in here. I'm having a good time. I'm listening to music. I'm doing my thing. So now it's like, nope, stop right there. 5 sets. That's it. I got to stop. 5 sets. And get creative with it or whatever.
I really feel like most people fall on either end of the spectrum. Yeah. Very few people have got the right down the middle. And I'm not even claiming that I think I got it perfect. It's like I've gotten better at getting right there because it's either you're and this is for all coaches that are listening too, is learning to figure that out with your clients because you're going to get both clients. You're going to get the fitness athlete addicts. And you're also going to get the people that are the couch potatoes that have a hard time being motivated just to walk. And it's like understanding that about who you're coaching shifts the way I coach completely.
Totally.
And so I know that about myself that I teeter on the athlete intensity, want to get after it person. And so I know that when I get in that mode, it's like I've got to be constantly reminding myself.
What people need to understand about athletes even, first off, there's a bias with high-level athletes. What you have with high-level athletes, so they're typically younger. This is what they do. This is like their job, and they're genetically gifted on top of it, and they've been doing it for years. So let's start there. But even those people have an in-season and off-season. Mm-hmm. So when we look at an athlete's training regimen, well, whatever's posted, we're typically looking at their in-season. I guarantee nobody trains like that all the time. You can't. Yeah. They'll injure themselves. They figured this out, by the way. Yep. So their training doesn't look like that all the time. In season may look crazy. Again, we're dealing with a pro athlete. We're dealing with a genetic anomaly. They're young. But their off season is very, very different. You can't train like that all the time. So even for fitness fanatics who are very consistent, you got to think to yourself in season, off season. And in season is a lot shorter than off season is most of the year. That doesn't mean you don't train.
No.
You just approach your training differently. And then strength training in particular, we're just trying to build muscle and build strength. If you want to build endurance and stamina and resilience, it looks different. So then you can add more volume, then you can add more whatever. And then if you're in a particular sport that requires mental toughness, requires resilience, well, then there's a value in beating yourself up, but it's not for the physiological
It's the
strength
mental
gains.
fortitude of
It's
it.
about like I got to be able to take punishment
Yeah.
because my sport involves that, you know?
When you're with Justin, when you would consider yourself, inconsistent or not like in your rhythm or what like that, what does your training look like? Because you're different than like how I train and how we train. So with that, like when you say you're like off or I'm not training consistently, what does that look like?
For me, it's definitely low volume. So I go way low volume if I'm like off. And it's really just, it's kind of like somewhat of a maintenance mentality to it, to where I hit like a few of the major lifts. Like it's either squats and overhead press. It's like, it's something that's a big mover. And then I'm concerned more on like movement at home and all day. And so I'm like, more focused on the dogs, the kids, the this, the that. Everything's outward focus, and it's not like inward focus. I'm really just like touching weights, and it's not like it's an everyday thing. I'll do like one thing, or like two things, and it's like it gets to a point where I don't feel strong anymore, and I feel kind of like doughy, and I'm like, dude, no, I don't like this. And then I'll get after it, and then get consistent. I'll go through spurts of like, 2, maybe 3 months. And then I start coasting again. And I'm like focused on my kids. I'm focused on, the dogs. I'm focused on like moving life over to a new house and, all this other stuff. But I've learned to kind of just navigate through that a little bit better by at least making sure like I get some gross motor movement in there that's like substantial.
You have a pretty healthy approach. What I noticed about you, Justin, is it appears, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like what you do is you make sure you can still do certain exercise or movements.
Yeah.
That's your test. Like, can I still do this? Can I move well?
It's very performance driven. Like,
I've noticed that with you when you're coasting is you'll go out there and I can tell what you're doing is you're trying, can I still do this? Can I still move?
Can I swing the clubs?
Yeah.
Still?
Oh no, this hurts a little bit. And then you kind of ramp it up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then I'll see a weak spot or something like that. And then I'm like, hyper focused on that.
Dude, go ahead.
No, I just, what he said is something else that as I've gotten older, I've been better about this. And I don't know if it's just trainer wisdom, is that when I'm off and inconsistent, I do the same thing, is that I'm better. Like if I am not disciplining myself to get in and get those lifts in that I know are so valuable, then I at least go, okay, this is the time where I choose to clean the car. I go do more yard work. I go do more physical activities. And so at least I'm creating movement. I never want to be inconsistent in the gym and then also sitting on my couch. Doing nothing. I
never do that.
It's like, I feel the same way. I feel like that's like, hey, you didn't go lift today. Like you need to go for that walk or that hike, or, oh, hey, you need to go outside and go do yard work, or like I've been good about that as I've gotten older. Okay. And then also even with the flexibility in the diet, it's like, there's a lot of foods I like and I enjoy. When I'm strength training is when I get to do those things. When I'm sending a loud signal that my body needs to build muscle,
then you allow those moves.
Yeah, then I allow these extra calories. And I still say that simple rule of still go get that protein first, and then if I still want that treat tonight, I'll go have that treat tonight on top of that. But go get that first, because I've strength trained. I know I send a loud signal to build muscle, so I know a lot of those extra calories are going to go to some good work. Versus, okay, I'm not strength training at all. All I'm really doing is walking and moving around. Not the time, because all that extra walking and moving around, which is not a lot of calorie burn, I could easily wipe that out with one dessert afterwards. And so that's my way of going like, if I really want that, I better get in the gym tomorrow and then I'll have it like that. That balance has kept me in that teens, always in the mid-teens body fat percentage. And I probably fluctuate from, when I'm on it, 10%, when I'm off of it, 15, 16%. And that's always been, no matter where my training volume is.
No, that's good. Was the biggest game changer by far for me was fixing my gut health. That was such a game changer. It's like, I can't even, When
I
I
haven't
think
heard
back,
you complain about that in a long time.
It used to
it's
be
fine.
The first year, couple years of our podcast was all about
bro,
that.
for probably 7 years, I was on and off, sometimes better, sometimes worse, but never good.
Yeah.
And it's such a game changer. Like I can eat now 3,500 calories of, healthy food, and it doesn't bother me. My gut health used to bother me so much that even if I ate clean, healthy things that I didn't react to, if I just ate too much of it, it would cause problems. It wasn't until I treated myself for parasites. That's what made the biggest difference.
Do you think that was the biggest, was the parasites? Because I know you've always been good about the probiotics. You've been good about...
All those helped. Everything helped, okay? But there was definitely parasites. I went on, and I don't recommend this. This is not recommended for people, but, I tend to do my own thing. I did fenbendazole and ivermectin, which, both those together will pretty much kill anything you have. And it's, again, fenbendazole is for animals, but, hey, here we go. I did it anyway. And it worked miraculously. And then there was a gut healing process after that where I actually had probably some damage that had to heal. So it just got better and better and better and better, to the point now where, you guys, I still can't have dairy, but that's been an issue since I was a kid. If my gut is off a little bit now, it's better within a few hours. In the past, if my gut was off, I was like, here I go, 2 weeks of bad gut.
Yeah.
And it was for 2 weeks. Yeah. One bad, issue would last me 2 weeks. Now it's like, I'll be okay by this afternoon, which is so wild. It's so wild.
What I feel like I see in you is that I feel like I can tell now, because I've known you for so long, and it used to be your gut so like that. You get puffy face like I do when you eat off, but that's all you get.
Yeah,
you don't get like I'm screwed up guff.
No, I'll hold water.
I see your neck. I see your neck in your face. Starts to hold some water. I'm like, oh, somebody enjoyed himself yesterday.
Gluten will do that too. There's that one stupid dude. We interviewed Jordan Peterson. We pinned it at the top of our Instagram. That's when we came back from London.
Yeah.
And I was eating all kinds of beans on toast and pastries. It's like all kinds of gluten.
Yeah.
And every time I look at that video, I'm like, dude, your face, bro.
But I mean, that's what I think has got to be great for you.
We had beer.
Because I react that way. Like that's how I've never been really bad gut stuff, but I definitely will hold water. Like I'll hold water, and you'll.
I'll feel it. I'll feel my hands.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
feet. You take your sock off. You got a little mark on your leg. You're like, what's going on, dude?
When you see the impression of your sock, like just like smashing.
I can't tell you how many people clients suffer from that have no idea that that's all that is.
Dude.
They think that they got fat or they did something wrong. It's just
inflammation.
You ate something that your body, and you don't have crippling gut issues like you had before, but it's enough for your body to get inflamed, retain water. You're a big enough, tall enough person. That could be pounds of water.
I could fluctuate 10 pounds of water.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
No problem.
And so, obviously you're a big guy. So put that in perspective of a 130-pound girl.
5 pounds.
Yeah, 5 pounds. Yeah. She can go up 5. And when you look puffy to the average eye, that looks fat. You look fat.
That's
it's
right.
like, and so.
I've held water to the point where I was 8% body fat, but I didn't have abs.
Yeah, no, me too.
Because of water.
Yes.
Because I ate a bunch
100%.
of 100%. Because gluten will do that for me for sure.
100%.
If I eat gluten, I'm going to hold water.
I also feel like when you do stuff too, you get thirstier, so you're pounding more water and you're drinking more, so that just retains more. And
the crazy thing about, because I had this conversation, we got out of the holidays, I was hanging out with my family, and we were all talking about health and nutrition, and then we got to the topic of parasites, and one of my family members was like, yeah, but that's like third world countries. I'm like, yeah, they get parasites much more often than we do. It's much more rare in, first world, areas. However, if you're, an adult and you've never treated yourself for parasites ever, and you eat raw vegetables, salad, sushi, there's a decent chance you were exposed to parasites over the course of, your life.
Yeah.
So
and they just don't go away, right?
No, they live in you, dude.
Yeah.
They live in you and they just grow and they chill.
Big little houses.
Yeah. We were talking about workouts earlier, and there's genetics make a big difference in many different directions, right? You have genetics for intelligence, you have genetics for athletic ability, you also have genetics for just capacity. And I ran across, so Rocky Marciano is one of my favorite fighters of all time.
That's weird. I would never get that.
I was just gonna say has nothing to do with he's Italian, right?
No. Listen, it started because he was Italian, but I love watching old fight films. One of my favorite things. I love watching old fight films, and they're all so different. The way the fighters used to fight, and Marciano had this relentless attack. The way he beat people was he would just, it was like the 10th round was like the first round. He was just on you constantly.
Wasn't his nickname the Raging Bull?
No, that was LaMotta.
Oh, that's
Jack LaMotta.
Okay.
So Marciano was just relentless. He was just on you, stuck on you. You couldn't get him off you, and he would punch everything. And he knew he would outlast you, so he'd hit you in the arms and make your arms dead, and then he'd kill you. Right? He was just, and people would talk. And I watched these old fights, and you, bro, you look at this guy, you're like, he just doesn't get tired. He just beats he just comes after him the whole time. So I came across his workout regimen when he was in camp. So this is when he's getting ready for a fight. 7 days a week. You guys want to know what he did?
Let's hear it.
This is every day. Every day he would do this.
Probably kill your average person.
In the morning, he would wake up and run 10 miles. Then he'd go to the gym and he'd spar 30 to 40 rounds.
Sparring?
30 to 40 rounds.
What?
Then in the evening, he would run 5 miles and he would swim 2 miles. Now, every day he took a nap, and every night he would get close to 10 hours of sleep. But that's what he did 7 days a week. So no wonder when he was in a match, he was just like, bro.
He's like, this is a piece of cake.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to keep going.
That's so insane.
Never stop.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know, I read that, and I'm like, that is brutal.
So
he was a small heavyweight.
So what I always think is interesting when you see these genetic anomalies, these people that handled all that trained at that volume, so that, and then how much science has evolved today. It's like, what if you gave that guy red light therapy, the perfect balance of volume and intensity, like the right supplements, the right recovery?
First off, he would be too small to fight as a heavy. He was 180 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. By the way, one of the reasons why boxers...
He was only 180. I thought he was bigger.
180, 185. He
must be short.
He was just boxers. I mean, remember, this is back. They didn't lift weights.
But he still looks thick in his pictures. He doesn't look like...
If you saw him off training. So in those days, and you still see boxers do this now, but he would gain like 50 pounds. Because when he was done training, he was like, I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that crazy of intensity in a camp. Dude.
Yeah, 188 pounds. There he is right there. So not a big dude for a heavyweight. Because now you got heavyweights 220, 230. Yeah, dude, you guys should watch some of his fights. It was just.
I remember this is MMA, but I remember Cain Velasquez was like famous for his like ridiculous gas tank. Yeah, just the motor, and that's a fighter you just don't want to fight. Like they're just gonna keep going relentlessly. They have no like, I need to get some rest or catch my breath.
That's also the other heavyweight who's a local guy that over here. He's local heavyweight that it was known
DC?
for. DC.
Yeah,
his gas tank was.
Well, he's a world.
Well, he's a world-class wrestler.
Yeah,
those guys are.
But he doesn't. What's crazy? Him
and Cain, they're not shredded.
Yeah, but they both train together.
Him, he doesn't. He doesn't look like he would. He would take you deep into the water. Yeah. No,
he'll give you some.
I've met him a couple times in person. Yeah, I know. It's crazy how like he just dominated everybody. Yeah, I mean, except for John Jones, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it's I remember back. So way back, I've told the story before, but a friend of mine was one of the top level competitors in the UFC as a middleweight. And he was getting ready to fight. And at this time, I was at my peak fitness and whatever. And I was nowhere near his level, but we were friends. And he's like, hey, can you come? We're going to do round robin. I need a bigger guy. I was bigger than him to come roll with. And there's going to be 4 of us round robin. And they were all pro fighters.
Yeah.
Okay. And me.
Yeah.
So I'm in there. And now it was pure grappling.
Yeah.
So I'm decent. I'm a purple belt. I'm decent. I'm not like the greatest or whatever, but I'm okay. And I'm strong and all that stuff. The difference with those guys and me was they were so relentless. They were stuck on me the whole time. It was like I couldn't get them off, and then I gassed. I just couldn't handle that intensity of just on you. That's what they talk when they talk about a fighter's heart. Yeah, that's what they're talking about is their gas tank. Because you lose your gas tank, heart goes out the window.
You always see that. I don't know how much you guys follow the UFC, but they do the it would slip in me right now, the show that Dana does where it's like to get the guys on the show is not Contender, but it's another show. It's something like that. I don't know what. Ultimate Fighter. So the Ultimate Fighter, and they only go like two or 3 rounds, and normally the guys that end up making it and go beyond are just the guys that could go 3 rounds with like full on 3 rounds. Most of the guys you see after round 2 are just because they gave it all they got for 2 rounds and they don't have it. And the guy who can stay on it for 3 rounds.
You know how annoying it is when you've done this and you're sitting and watching a fight and you hear some dude over there, just go, just punch him, dude, just go, bro, go wrestle your buddy for 2 minutes. Just go wrestle full speed for 2 minutes. Tell me how you
Try
feel.
and lift your arms after that.
Yeah, there's a real
It's super hard.
there's a real art to that. Dude,
Anyways,
for sure.
speaking of fighting, we were talking off air. I thought this would be funny to bring up. As we were talking, I don't know why I remembered when I was a kid, some of the things that we would do. We didn't have tech, so we'd come up with ways of having fun, and we talk about pencil fighting.
Oh yeah.
Does anybody do that anymore?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I don't think it's a thing
You
anymore.
had pencil fighting. You had
Dylan,
that
did you
one
guys ever
football
pencil
game
fight?
Where you
Dylan's like he has no idea what it is.
Okay, so you know what pencil fighting was? You get a pencil.
Doug, did you know anyone pencil fighting?
I think we did it, but not to the seriousness
It was
that you guys did.
it was so serious.
My
that when I was a
Ticonderoga
kid-
Dude, this was like bragging.
This goes all the way back to like 3rd, 4th, 5th
Oh,
grade.
yeah.
I
This is
can
elementary
remember,
school.
I can think elementary school this. And I mean the principal's office must have made a fortune because they had this they had
you guys were doing
they
this.
had a pencil machine and it was a quarter, but it was the good thick pencils, not them cheap number 2.
Yeah.
like,
Or those ones that were made out of, they seemed like they were made out of like plastic. They
Yeah,
were
they were
good.
hard. They were hard, right? And they were 25 cents, and they were decorated all cool. You didn't know what you got. You put the quarter in, you turn it, you come
the
out.
ones that were super cylindrical
Man.
were done.
Done.
And
Done.
You
and
needed the
kill
hexagon
you.
one.
and then it was such a big deal if my parents let me have a quarter for that day so I could get a new pencil. And that was like you come to class and and you said it earlier, you rip the eraser off and you
flatten the metal part to make it like a knife.
sharpen
Yeah,
the
we
metal.
bite it. You bite it down with your teeth to get it real nice and sharp. And then you
a
have
nice little
the
axe.
You had the move where you wrap it around the knuckles.
It's
and
so
then-
funny. There's so many techniques because what you do.
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah. Some guys were like this,
Yeah,
and
that was
then-
me.
I was this, dude.
You did
I
that
go,
one?
"Ah!" Yeah. So, but it's so funny that was a thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I
You
don't
get a
think-
crowd watching.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal. All the kids would circle around in the chairs.
So,
and,
so Dylan, the way it worked is you would hold your pencil like this,
Yeah.
and I would hit yours,
One at a
and then
time.
it was your turn, and whoever broke the pencil won.
Yeah.
So you just go back and forth until.
Yeah.
And the really good dudes, if you knew what you were doing, it was first shot, one shot.
Yeah,
you break the pencil.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
forced
Do you
transfer,
guys
dude.
remember making? I don't know what I don't even think we had a name for them, but you would fold paper into like a bullet, and you'd hit it.
Yes.
You'd use rubber bands.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Got detention
yeah.
for that one.
Yeah,
those-
those taught my son that.
Yeah. Those hurt.
Oh yeah.
I like the little football game too with the
triangle
yeah.
football.
triangle
paper.
football
Yeah.
paper. Yeah, with the field goal post.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, you get so bored. I mean, that was school for me. That was all of school for me. I learned everything else after that.
Yeah. Ask me what I learned after pencil fighting that morning. You know what I'm saying?
Like
Or
spitballs, I
after-
knew all that stuff, dude.
So it's so interesting though. I mean, obviously as a kid, you don't ever think of that, but like the value of that creativity, the ability to
Yes.
come up with these games and these
It's like
ideas,
prison science.
and entertain yourself. Well, it's a wonder why we have such a hard time with these, especially both girls and boys, but especially young boys. That aren't doing any of these things. When they get to go home, they get to be on these video games and iPads like crazy, and then they got to sit in these classrooms where they don't do any of this stuff.
You
It's
can't
like
compare.
It's
There's
like-
how can you come up with anything that's as entertaining
Yeah,
as your
I know.
video game?
that's what I mean. It's just like
Dolby surround sound.
Yeah, pencil fighting sucks.
Yeah,
Dude.
that's what I mean. Is like we've overstimulated them
So much.
so much with tech, and then we ask them to go sit in a classroom for 7 hours, 8 hours a day.
Well, I
It's
had this thought the other day because my kids,
Yeah.
my little one, my 4-year-old will come up to me and be like, I'm bored. Do you know I never told my parents I was bored? Because if I did, what would
Oh my God!
what would your
They'll put
mom
you to
say?
work
Oh,
immediately.
yes. Oh, I got something for you to do.
Yeah.
Go fold some laundry. Oh, here, go clean this.
Go
So you're
dig
like,
a hole outside.
Yeah, go outside. My parents
Yeah.
said, go outside.
figure it out.
Yeah,
Go
go
do
outside. Go outside.
Yeah, are kids gonna invent anything now?
well, what
I mean,
they,
this is a real question.
well,
They're AI friends.
I was
will do it
gonna,
for them.
well, the counter is that you have
they're
these
doing
all-
it with the dude,
these young
they're-
kids
they're
that are
genie friends.
entrepreneurs that are doing stuff that is way beyond what we're doing. I mean, there's kids now that know how to use all these prompts way better than any of us in this room right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so the positive side is some of them are focusing the energy in that direction, but I'd still make the argument it's still really tough for those same kids.
Yeah, but
to
aren't
do it.
those? Yeah. Okay. So improvements, I guess, an innovative new thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say innovative and new as far as creating businesses. I mean, listen.
Yeah, no, I know you can make the argument for that. I'm
The
just saying-
original inspiration. So when I tell a story about Mind Pump before I knew you guys and knew it was going to be Mind Pump, was I was playing basketball with a 22-year-old kid. Now, I was doing medical marijuana, so I had the cash flow to come in and out of the gym. But I was playing basketball with a kid at 22 years old at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. And he had nice sneakers, drove a nice car, went to church, so I knew he was a good kid. So I didn't think he was doing anything shady to be able to. And I'm like, how are you doing this? Yeah. And he had built a following on Facebook of 10,000 people and was flipping sneakers and making a good living. And so, I mean,
I don't know if it's that so much. It's more like, okay, I've noticed this with Doug. Doug's a good example because we didn't grow up with tech, but we definitely used it more than Doug did because he's an even different generation. You guys ever notice when we go to the airport or somewhere and we're sitting there, we got nothing to do? He's the last one to be on his phone the whole time. He can sit there.
It's just because he doesn't know how to use it.
I just figured you have to turn it over.
He's like, he still hasn't figured out how to turn it on.
He's got a jitterbug phone. What's that one phone for old people with the big
the big buttons? It's just buttons. He's just got big buttons.
Big ass buttons on it.
He didn't even. Hey, if he knew he could watch TV on his phone,
Did you know you can do that, Doug? You can watch TV on your phone.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But you know what I mean, right?
Dude.
But no, you know what I mean. Like they're okay with sitting there. They're okay with sitting there and being chill, and calm.
Yeah, I guess that's my only point is
thinking.
Is like the boredom factor.
Yeah,
like the deprivation of stimulus. The figure the shit out without anybody's influence.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about building off of everybody else's ideas.
Is there value to daydreaming? Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Does anybody daydream
just
anymore?
think differently. Thinking differently than everything that is thrown at us.
Yeah, dude. I used to write stories because I was bored. So I would just write and create stories.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you can't blame them for evolving and adapting to the new times.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't blame them.
Your dad would be like, well, I would have went out and helped my dad build a fence.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to do. I only had a wheel to play with.
No, my dad used to say, I used to have a stick.
Yeah.
I had a stick in a wheel.
Your dad's like, I had a stick in a wheel. I'd do that for 2 hours. I was bored, and then I'd go build a fence for you know what I'm saying? Like, they would go do something productive. Like, so, I mean, the generation before would do something like that. So you adapt to what. And so, listen, if you look up there's interesting stats. I mean, like on young millionaires and the kids that are buying the supercar. Like, it's kids. Like the average age of someone who owned a Ferrari used to be like 55 or something like that. You know, it's like 35.
Well, here, I'll tell you.
And it's because these kids are figuring out how to make money while they sleep and online.
I get it. No, the money part I understand. That's not everything, but I get it. But I'll read you guys a stat. In fact, I posted this today on my X, so I got to pull this up. But this is an interesting stat, right? There's a Morgan Stanley analysis that predicted by 2030, it's around the corner, it's like in 4 years, 45%, almost half of U.S. women between 25 to 44 will be single and without children.
Whoa.
Almost half. And so I think
what was it? Well, okay, compare that to what it.
Oh God, that was
in history.
10%.
Really?
5%. Yeah, dude.
Really?
Almost half.
Yeah.
So now what's happening is we've gotten really good at what I want, and I don't want responsibility, and I'll think I'll make money, and I want a career, and I want to be able to go on those vacations, and I want to be able to enjoy myself. It's very self-focus. And so you basically are what we're developing are a bunch of middle-aged children with no responsibility. And the ramification, well, of course, we can talk about societal ramifications, right? Depopulation that's going to collapse. How are we going to support ourselves? But it's like, you ask these people, especially for women, right? Because they'll reach an age they can't have kids anymore. Majority of them who don't, it was not voluntary. It was because they waited so long and it became too late. There are terrible ramifications of that because we're also more depressed, more anxious, and more unhappy. And I think a big part of that is we're skirting responsibility and we're kind of going down the hedonistic road. And a big part of that is like, I don't want the responsibility. I don't want the responsibility of I don't want nobody to tell me what to do. And I don't want to have to not be able to go whenever I want, wherever I want. So that's the thing I'm worried about, not the money part.
Well,
I'm not worried about people making money.
It's all connected to the money part too, though, when you talk about what you're talking about right now,
Sure.
because we were sold a lie, especially women were sold a lie in particular to what you're talking about right now. So I just watched a Jordan Peterson clip that talked about how women looking for men their financial status and success is one of the highest predictors of the man's success of finding a mate. So it's highly valued, whether a woman agrees or not that that's like her number one, or whether it's a one of the highest predictors of like a man will have find a partner is
how much money and status
in relation to everybody else.
Right,
so the more successful he is, the higher chance he is to finding a mate and a partner. The reverse is not true.
Yeah, I know.
It is a zero predictor for the woman to find out. Yeah. So if you have all these women that are going down the same path as a man, trying to reach these higher, not only that, but women date across and up. Men won't do. Men are across and down many times, so they don't want necessarily a woman that's higher or makes more. Yes, there's always exceptions to rules, so everybody gets offended by that. That has the wife that makes more money. It's like but for generally speaking,
we're talking generalities.
That's not that happens. I mean, I see it in my own family. It's tough because they come from a matriarch, and so a lot of the girls are very smart, very successful, very beautiful, and just struggle to find partners because you work so hard like that. You can't help.
And they're probably at the point now, if they're starting to get to their 30s, where they're like, this sucks.
No, they're at mid-30s and they realize how much but it took all the way till then to realize how much that sucks. They were so focused on growing financially and making more money and being more successful. Then they reached that point and realized and then you got to remember too, because they put that much work in, they now also shrink what they're willing to go for. She's not like, listen, I didn't go 35 years, make all this money, work my ass off, get to this level, and
their tolerance.
And I'm not gonna date the guy who's like, kind of getting by in life, like that. She wants that or above, and that or above is just not interesting.
And then the other part of that too is that you're 33, you've achieved the success, you're ready to go. Like, I want kids. Now the clock's ticking. I got to find a guy, develop a relationship, get serious, and then be able to have 2 kids. You got like 3 years.
Guys don't respond well to that.
No, you
that
apply
intensity is not isn't received well. By
and definitely not the ones that are at that level or above.
No. I saw this discussion. I thought it was so good. There were
that's a problem.
These women that were talking to each other. One was stay-at-home mom. She had I don't know how many kids. Another one was like career woman. And the career woman looked at the other woman, the stay-at-home, and she's like, so you serve your husband, you go home and just do what he said, and she goes, well, yeah. What do you do when your boss tells you to do something? Is he a man, by the way? Oh, you're serving a guy too, except mine's my husband and this is my family. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Talk about a lie that a lot of people have been fed.
Yeah.
One is, that this is the path to.
I think that's more important
to happiness, dude.
Well, and again,
by the way, it's funny because you look at the data. Guys are figuring this out. They did this huge survey with Gen Z men, young men, and they listed the things that how they would consider themselves successful in life. You know what number 1 was for the guys? This was shocking to me. Guys typically don't talk like this. Getting married and having kids.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Getting married and having kids was 1 and 2 for them to consider themselves successful at life.
Interesting.
I know.
I mean, I would say that's different than even back in the days. Because back in the days, you would still say.
Well, I think back in the days, it was assumed that, well, if I get a good job and but these guys were like, no, if I get a wife and I have 3 kids, then I think I'm doing really well.
That's definitely shifted.
Yeah, that's a big shift.
That's interesting.
I know, isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is
it's interesting to me. But it's like, I communicate this to my kids because I think you don't need to tell a kid to get a good career and make good money. I don't think you need to sell that. Everybody sells that to them. I think you need to sell the other stuff because the other stuff isn't really talked about. I even think it's talked down to as like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Which it's not.
That's interesting because I have a different perspective of that because I felt like my mom sold that so hard to the kids because she was so young to get married and do that I feel like that's my siblings were like in such a hurry to just do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's a balance there. I think there's a balance of.
Yeah, you're in a different situation though, bro. You grew up.
I know.
Rough. You had a really rough.
I think everybody grows up rough. It's just different rough. You know what I'm saying?
I know that's you being humble, but
everybody's got it.
You're an anomaly for sure. The way you turned out.
I feel like everybody's got that. I mean, one of the things that forever shifted that for me is that everybody's trauma, tragic, hard is the hardest thing that they ever experienced. Therefore, the way they experience is no different than the way I experience it.
Okay.
So
sure.
So like that's you have to like you have
Again,
to.
that's you being humble, dude.
Well, thank you, whatever. But it's true. It's like
sure.
Whatever. There's stuff that you've been through in your life
Sure.
that has brought you to tears, knees, scared, hard, all this and with that. Me too. They were different things. But for me,
it was the hardest.
For you, it was the hardest thing you've ever experienced in your life. For me, it was the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. So, I mean, I think the ability to overcome, work through all those things, to get through that, it's tough for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of tough, I'm going to go back to a previous conversation about hitting protein. We have a sponsor in this episode, and it's actually a great segue to the previous conversation. The meat sticks from Paleo Valley, about 8 grams. You know, if you snacked on those and had like 4, there's 30 grams.
Not just that. The other thing I love about Paleo Valley is actually and you're the one that pushed me forever to get on it, because I've never been a fan of I've always been a whey protein person. But what I love about the bone broth protein is that I can push the grams of protein. I can go up to a 50, 60.
Without any upset stomach stuff. Yeah.
No, it's actually helps.
As much as I love whey, I start going beyond 40, 50 grams of whey in one sitting, or I take whey and I mix it with milk or something like that, and it'll upset my stomach, right? Where the bone broth, man, I've done crazy, like 4 or 5 scoops of that stuff, and it's so it mixes so well, so that it doesn't make this like cakey shake. And so for somebody who struggles to hit protein and wants like a really high protein, is you can just put several of those in there.
Well, bone broth is a protein that's recommended for to improve gut health. So if you go to a functional medicine practitioner, unless you have issues with histamine, and they'll recommend you take bone broth protein because of the high amounts of amino acids that actually help rebuild the gut. So it's a pro gut health one. Whereas other shakes, I'm like you, like I go push it too hard. Well, everybody, I think.
Now, do they actually have different amino acids than like
higher amounts of cysteine, and I can't remember the other one, but these are amino acids that build collagen.
Oh, interesting. I just assumed that because whey in all the studies is always shown to be like the best for building muscle, or like that it had the highest like amino acid profile.
So whey is really high in branched chain amino acids, really high in leucine, isoleucine, valine.
Yes.
Bone broth is high in the amino acids that are used to build.
Oh, interesting.
The integrity of your gut wall, collagen. It helps with the junctions in the gut, so it helps seal them. So it's like a pro gut health protein.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep. There's a fatty acid called C15. It's found in dairy. If you take a decent amount of it, you get lowered inflammation, better cognitive function, enhanced fat loss. Look, I noticed the difference. I started using Fatty 15. That company uses the C15 fatty acid. And I noticed dramatically reduced inflammation. No, this is not fish oil. It's not an omega-3. I take that as well. But I noticed a huge difference from C15. Look up the data yourself. It's incredible. Fatty 15 is the best source of this particular fatty acid. Go check them out. Go to fatty15.com. That's fatty15.com/mind pump. On that link, you'll get a discount, but you got to use the code MINDPUMP. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
First question is from Burke himself. Do you guys have any thoughts on butt wink when squatting? I've heard that it's really not a concern.
This is, we've addressed this a handful of times, but it's been a long time since we talked about it. And I like us to discuss it because it's there is controversy online. You depending on and from both highly intelligent coaches and trainers, and that just shows you that there's exceptions to the rule. There is a version of the butt wink that I think can be dangerous and bad, and then there's a version of it that's totally safe and okay.
Yeah. So for people who aren't familiar with what this is, right? You watch someone from the side going down on a squat, and towards the bottom, their tailbone will tuck a little bit and then come up. So they call that butt wink. Generally speaking, I don't like the typical person or client that I'm training to have lots of lumbar movement with a squat. So generally speaking, if I see something like that, I'm trying to limit the range of motion, figuring out areas that are tight, strengthening their core, stabilize, work on technique, et cetera, et cetera. Generally speaking, I would prefer the spine to stay stable. Now, here's where the controversy comes from. The best squatters in the world, Olympic lifters who get at the bottom, they all butt wink at the bottom. And nobody gets hurt. There's a difference between a highly trained, strong, stable, great technique individual and then the average person. The average person, especially if you're a beginner, when you get butt wink, what happens is your lumbar spine goes to its end range of motion, and then what's supporting the bottom is your discs. What happens to an Olympic lifter is, because there is some lumbar movement, Olympic lifter is not relying on the disc. They're still strong. They're still supporting the weight. And so that's why there's no issue. They also bounce at the bottom, which you're not supposed to.
Well, if you took if you actually took a skeleton, or we could do this on an X-ray so you could see this, somebody who goes true ass to grass will have that natural tilt. It happens. It's part of the anatomy for your ability to go all the way down there. You can't maintain the hips out this way and get full ass. Once you get your ass down on your ankles, it'll slightly come down like that. And so, in someone that doesn't have any pain and gets that deep in a squat, and they don't
good stability,
and I'm coaching them and I'm talking to them and I'm like, your low back bothering anything, and they don't have any signs of that. But somebody that's like, oh man, my low back is always on fire, and they have this butt wink, and it happens typically sooner than the very bottom of the squat. They have a lot of movement in that low back. Then it can become a dangerous, unhealthy thing, and it needs to be addressed.
The only real problem with it is the lack of stability and strength as they're going through that portion of that range of motion. And it's like, if you don't have like proper bracing technique and you can't like control, and you're allowing that load to rest on the discs, and like just anywhere else, like in these complex compound movements, it's like, if you don't take the time to really reinforce that brace and have protective ability with that, then it's going to be dangerous.
I would say to the average person, because the problem with sometimes with the advice that you'll hear from, people on social media, even people who are smart, biomechanic experts or whatever, they'll give advice based off of what people who are really skilled, strong, and stable can do. Like, for example, you'll hear high-level strength athletes say things like, you don't need to prime, just warm up with the exercise itself. Right. It's like, well, but if you watch
you know how to do that.
Yeah, you watch a skilled bench presser, they're priming properly. The average person doesn't know how to activate their lats and depress their scapula properly while they're warming up. So you got to do other priming movements for that person. For the average person, when I'm training someone, I don't necessarily want a butt wink. If I see it, I'm like, okay, I'm addressing something. If you're like advanced, if I see an advanced lifter with a butt wink and they're stable and strong, well, it's not an issue.
So, new lifter, you're gonna pause.
That's right.
We're gonna work on making sure that everything is controlled and braced and accounted for.
Right.
Most people that have this, especially new lifters, they'll feel their erector spinae. The low back muscles
will be tired.
Will fatigue and light up. I had this, so I had an excessive butt wink when I first started, and a lot of that just had to do, to Justin's point, I wasn't bracing my core properly. I didn't have proper mobility and stability in my hips and my ankles
too.
And once I got good hip and ankle mobility and stability, good core bracing, went away completely. But there was a time when I used to do a set of back squats, didn't even barely break parallel, and I had to lay on the floor because my low back was just on fire, and that's because I had that excessive wink like that. And so you don't necessarily want to see it, but you could also, and that's why there's so much controversy online, is because to your point,
some people can get away with it, some people can't.
Next question is from Emily Vittoria. Should rest periods strictly be measured by time, or can heart rate be a gauge as well?
It's a good question. Yeah. Both. So if you take someone with incredible, I'll paint a scenario, right? You have someone with incredible stamina, really high VO2 max, endurance athlete, their heart rate is going to be fine in 15
They're
seconds.
going to recover like this.
Yeah. But
in
that
fact, a 5-rep lift won't even get their heart rate that high.
Now, and so what are they going to just go again? It's both, right? You're resting not for the heart rate to come down as much as you are for the
ATP and ADP.
ATP to replenish.
That's right.
Replenish, yes.
In the muscles, because you're training a strength pathway, not an endurance pathway.
Yep.
So now here's why it can be both. If you're deconditioned or you do a set of 20 reps in a barbell squat and 3 minutes is up, but you're still huffing, wait longer. Your heart rate needs to come down.
Yeah, I'm glad
Fatigue's going to ruin your performance.
this most likely is from. I'm glad somebody asked it this way so we could address this, because this is exactly what keeps these clients in this kind of circuit training, like way of training, because they've built their stamina up so well that they're sitting there for 30 seconds and they're like, my heart rate's already down. I'm ready to go. I'm good. And it's like, no, it's not just your heart rate that I'm concerned about. Like, so time matters here. Time. This is not I don't think the person who's asking this is the person who's doing a set and they're still gassed after a 3-minute rest. And they're wondering if they should do longer. This is somebody who's like, I'm ready to go after 30 seconds. So is my rest
These
period.
are the clients who are like, I don't need to rest.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. If you want to build muscle, you want to build strength, especially if you ask a question like this and you feel like you're ready to go after 30 seconds, you're going to benefit a lot by resting 2.5, 3 minutes.
The rest periods are what make it strength training more than almost anything else. It's the rest periods that put
not
you
the
in,
heart rate.
Put you in a different energy demand.
It's not the heart rate. You take someone like a Lance Armstrong, whose heart rate, his resting heart rate's 30, and then maybe after a set of bicep curls, it gets to 40.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? It's lower. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the time. So let yourself rest.
Next question is from L. Byron. Will taking creatine with or close to the consumption of caffeine make it ineffective?
No, that's fine. So the data, there was a study. Yeah, there was a study that was done
about that
a while ago that showed maybe reduced absorption or efficacy of creatine, even if you go based off.
I
that
hope
study.
not. I've been doing that forever.
Even if you go based off that study,
true.
I think it was back in '96. I think it was with the study. Even if you base it off that, it's not that much to make a difference. Now, there's been lots of studies done on this, and the evidence that there's any interference is weak at best.
Yeah.
Even if it was a weak, even if there was a slight interference, it's not enough for you to worry. In other words, if you're like, but that's when I remember to take my creatine, then keep doing it.
Yeah.
If you're like, you want to split hairs 5 times in a row, then fine, separate it from the time you take creatine. But they've done lots of studies on this.
When we were kids, back in cell tech phosphagen days, there was a rumor or theory that orange juice, the citric acid from orange juice, impacted the intake of that.
If you leave,
you remember that?
Yeah, if you leave powdered creatine in something acidic for a long time, it could degrade the
degrades
creatine
a bit, because of the acid.
Yeah, you could even do it in water. You leave creatine in water for too
anything,
long.
really.
So you just want to take it.
So that makes sense why maybe this question's being asked then too, because there are, I believe Bang Energy does this, and I believe there's acidity in those energy drinks.
Yeah.
And so creatine inside of a energy drink.
I'll tell you straight up, and maybe someone can prove me wrong, but I don't take creatine in liquid form ever.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, liposomal delivery process, which is like a cream that you can taste the grittiness of the creatine. And so it's stable. But if something looks clear and it says it's got creatine in it, I don't believe it.
Yeah, and definitely if you have, what's that called? We have bubbles where it's like
carbonation
in it. It's like, come on. You're trying to tell me that it's not going to degrade somewhat of the amount that
years ago, this had to be in the early 2000s, late 90s. There was a creatine company that had liquid creatine. It was the first liquid creatine. It was a red bottle. And it's like 5 grams of liquid creatine, fastest absorption, because you could always make a case, right? If it's in liquid form, you'll absorb it faster. And it was popular for a second, and then they did. Of course, there was a third party that tested it. Zero creatine. Yeah. It was zero creatine.
Man.
Usually, if creatine's in something, you'll feel the grittiness. You'll bite into it or take it, and you'll feel the grittiness of the creatine, because that's how it
I mean,
comes.
this is why, if this person's asking this, is why I'm such a huge fan of like the new stuff with like Legion gummies or Organifi's gummies. Like, do the gummies. Like, if you have a hard time remembering to take it and stuff like that, but they might be asking this because I have seen some of these energy drinks starting to put out, and I would not trust that.
No.
Just
don't count that creatine.
I didn't even consider that, but I wouldn't need a million years. count that as.
Next question is from Chelsea Welsey. The front of my hips are perpetually sore lately. I foam roll and stretch, not as much as I should. Any other tips to help?
Yeah, mobility and priming. So it's hard to know what the issue is because I can't see you move.
Living them 90-90s.
I don't know, exactly what you mean by the front of your hips. I don't know what movements cause
Hip flexor?
the
Or what are you
issue.
talking about?
Sometimes, I'm so glad you said that, Justin. This actually happened to me a few times. 9 out of 10 times when you work with somebody, you don't directly try to strengthen their hip flexors. No. They'll get some strength by doing ab exercises there. It's not something I need to focus on. But there have been cases where I remember this young lady I trained, and we would squat. She'd get pinching in the front of her hips.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is going on? And it took me a long time.
It was weak, right?
And it was weak hip flexors.
Yeah, I've had the same thing.
We had to do single leg raises, like a pure hip flexor exercise took care of it. But it's hard to know without watching you move what the issue is. But there's a strength imbalance going on, and a good assessment with a good trainer, a good movement specialist.
Typically, if foam rolling and stretching isn't really impacting it on some level, there's probably a strength issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, this is why I love all the 90-90 variations, because you're going to get some of that in that. I mean, you're going to do, if you're doing 90-90s with the heel lift up off the ground and
activating.
you're activating, like, for me, that's done. I know you guys have talked about this before, where we've had some people who have actually strengthening the hip flexors, or could see as a possibility, but that's rare. It's normally somebody who just has really weak and unstable hips.
Yeah.
And if you work on hip mobility and strengthening it and activating it while you're in 90-90s, tends to address a lot.
If you're listening right now, get MAPS Prime Pro and do the hip movements in there, and you'll find the one that helps. You'll know because you'll do it and you'll feel better.
Well, and
test them all out. Yeah,
that's right.
And then that's where I would first go to all the 90-90 stuff, since I think that's where 90% of the people fall. If none of that is working, or you're listening to this and you're like, I've been doing that and I saw this issue, then maybe it is a hip flex weakness. And then actually
you could even do
them.
the free one that you did, Adam. When you did some hip stuff, there was Prime Pro webinar?
Yeah.
PrimeProWebinar.com.
Yeah.
And that go through that, and Adam does he does everything in there. Just do the hip stuff, and then go try your exercise, see if it makes a difference. And if it does, you've got the answer right there. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. How strong should you be? Ever wonder if you're actually strong, or at least compared to people like yourself? Today's episode, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to help you determine how strong you should be, and also talk about the steps to getting strong as fast as possible. In fact, we're going to talk about the fastest way to get bigger and stronger all at the same time.
I know keeps Adam up at night.
Yes, it does, actually. And I know that you wrote a really complex episode here, but I think Justin's metric has been the one